We love a good show just as much as the next person.
The plot, the characters, the twists and turns.
Sometimes it all needs a deeper discussion
We're two babes just giving the people what they want on
on
mystery,
mystery,
murder,
murder,
and
and
melanin.
melanin. Welcome back to Mystery, Murder, and Melanin. I'm your co-host, Harmony.
And I'm your co host, Yelly. Today we've got a lot to go over and break down in episode 6 of the Netflix show Beauty in Black.
Yes, this episode was so wild. Let's dive right in.
All right, so y'all know how we do. We like to talk about the characters that are in this episode. We see a lot of the usual, we have Kimmy, Mallory, Roy, Jules, Horace, Norman, Ina, Angel, the Latin dancer, and Calvin, the driver, Jillian, the assistant, and Varney, the lawyer. But we also have two new characters that make an appearance. One is Lena, which we actually have seen her very briefly, I believe, in the very first episode, but we see her more in this one. And she is the attorney who is representing all of the cancer patients in the lawsuit against the Bellary family. And then we also see Kimmy's little sister, Sylvie.
Yes, yes. So we'll see our new characters later on. We'll talk about them. So this episode starts off with some ruckus going on. Mallory pulls up, in her black car, and there's protesters out front of their building. And she roll up, she looking like, what? I pull around bag, like, I'm not even about to deal with them. And so Jules is just already in the parking garage, like ready to talk to her. And he jumps in the car with her. She's like, what are these protesters doing outside? Like, no. And so they're talking strategy. And Alina, the attorney, this is who Jules says is behind the protesters. And so Alina, she's been spearheading the lawsuit. And, she's trying to find people to back this lawsuit. She wants this lawsuit, to make headlines, to get more people to come forward. And so Mallory reminds Jules how important she is to, the Bellary Empire. And, Jules tells her, it's being handled. And he also says that Ina's been handled. And Mallory loves acting kind of oblivious to like anything going on with
Yeah.
Ina. Like, okay, why are you telling me this? Like, I feel like she stays in character so that she don't ever have to be any type of way when it comes to Ina.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why are you telling me this? Okay, that's great. Glad that it's handled.
In true Mallory fashion.
And so I'm like, so does this mean that Jules was involved in what happened to Ina? Because I was thinking that it was Horace, and you
Mhm.
were saying you thought it was Jules as well.
I feel like now, see, the last time we were talking about this, and I was like, I wasn't even thinking Horace at first. But once you like brought up Horace, it's like maybe Jules just knows what that means. Like if Horace said,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna call, like Jules is like, okay, I know what that means because I be doing that too.
Yeah, so I feel like it could have been like he was just trying to like play it up and like just have conversation with her, let her know what's going in on the loop because Horace doesn't know that she's probably in on all this or knows
Hmm.
about all of this.
Yeah.
And so he brings up, Norman and everything also and says, you should go visit Norman. So I feel like he's kind of losing trust in me and we have to keep him close. Mallory's like, I ain't trying to go see that old man and her. Like, I got business to do here. And he's like, no, no, like, we got to keep this tight. Like, you have to go and see him and her. And, she uses this to an advantage, I feel like. She's like, well, you need to tell me who's been with Roy then. And he's like, what are you going to do? The same thing you did to the last one? What Mallory be doing to his side chicks?
Right.
So he's like,
Hmm.
I'll get you the information. Okay, I'll get you the information. And she's like, you know what? Put Calvin on that. Like, put Calvin on that. And he's like, I don't trust Calvin. And she's like, I don't trust you. And he asking more questions like, who gonna drive you then? She's like, boy, get out my car.
Right. Like, could Calvin not find out and also drive? Like,
I just love how she be treating everybody like, know your role. You asking me too many questions, get out the car. But for a second, he came back in the car or he told Calvin to get out the car or something. And I'm
oh,
like,
I
dang,
think
what are you
Mallory
about
was
to
about to
do?
get out, I think. And then he was like, close the door or whatever.
Yeah, he said something. I'm like, is something spicy about to happen? You know, 'cause I've been like, I feel like there's some past there. I thought it was gonna come to light right here, and it didn't. So yeah, that kind of ends that scene.
Yeah. And so after this, we are taken back to Kimmy's hotel where her and Angel are. And immediately, Angel's girlfriend is back at the hotel. She done set this man's car on fire. Now, y'all know
Yeah.
in the last episode, she broke the windows. So she done came back for round two and set the car on fire. And Angel, we see him run out. Somehow there's just a hose on hand already. Like, I don't know how many times y'all
Right.
see a hose just chilling at a hotel, but apparently this one does. And he's like spraying down his car. He goes inside. He's like mad. He's like, that's my car. All my clothes are in it. He's like, do you know what I had to do to get those clothes?
Yeah,
And, I'm just like, does he just mean like, I'm like, what has he had to do? Because, when it comes to Horace, he's like, he's not touching me. I'm not doing none of that. I'll dance and that's it. So I'm like, has he had to do like more things besides just like dance? So he says
sure.
that little comment. And, Kimmy is sitting there smoking and they're both just
Ew.
looking defeated, like they're in this situation. Angel's like, listen, we could just go ahead and take Horace's stuff, get some money. And Kimmy, she's still her like quiet little sad self. And then she's just like, tells Angel that Rain died. And, she's like, yeah, they put this stuff in her that you get from the hardware store. And then Angel reveals that Delinda them wanted him to get a procedure done. And at first I was like, they want him to get a BBL
Yeah,
at
he said they
first.
wanted it in his D.
Yeah, they want it in his little peen. And I'm just like, what kind of
Mm-mm.
procedure even is like,
Mm-mm.
I don't know. But he said some other one of the male strippers or whatever at the club
Mm-hmm.
got it done. And he's like, yeah, his shit don't even work no more. Like
Mm.
it's gone.
Yeah, his name was Lion. He said
Yeah,
Lion.
lying.
He can't get hard no more.
Yep. And so Angel's like, let's just get this money and we can go to the DR. Kimmy's like, don't you need a passport? Like, Jules took all of our identification. Like, we literally have nothing. She tells him to like look up this like Jane Doe in like 2022. And it's a girl that I guess was found like dead or something she was found, I'm pretty sure dead. And she's just like, that's what's going to happen to us. And, you know, Angel, he's still on this, like, we have to try to do this. And Kimmy's just like, Horace lives on a private road. It has a lot of security. He's got dogs. You're not going to be able to get past that. Angel, he's being so adamant. He's like, no, I can get past. I can get him to like get me to get over there. And she's just like, no, Horace is not going to take you there because he doesn't want anyone to know that he's gay or interested in men. And, Kim is just like, I just don't want to talk about this anymore. And she's like, I just need to find out where they buried my friend.
Yeah. Poor girl. She was so sad in that whole scene.
Yeah.
So next scene, Norman is at the hospital talking to a new doctor and talking about moving his wife to another hospital. And so they're going back and forth like, can she be moved? And he's like, I don't think you should move her. And he's like pressing him like, we need to move her. She needs to get out of here. We need to get her out of here. And so he's like, okay, yeah, let's move her. And then the doctor at the current hospital comes up and is like, who is this doctor? Like, do I know you? Like, are you a doctor? And Norman's like, we're moving my wife. Oh no, she walks up and says there's security guards outside of your wife's room
Yeah.
and it's not letting anybody in. We need to assess your wife. He's like, no, we're moving her out of here. And so she's like really urging him not to move his wife from here. And he's like, who was that woman? Who was that nurse that came into my wife's room the other night? And she's like, what? And he's like, exactly. Like he's just like going off on a tyrant. Like I'm moving my wife, point blank, point period. And so that was kind of the end of that. And Mallory then arrived to the hospital and Norman makes a comment like while they're talking, she's just coming and checking on him. And like she's trying to like console him in this way and like trying to be like she's caring, but to me, it seems like so fake for her that like, why can he not see that she's being fake? He's like, oh, don't cry. You're gonna make me cry. I'm like, This
Yeah.
woman is evil. She is not about to cry.
Right. And when they showed her face, I was like, that is like the most fake crying face. Like, what? She just had like a little like sad smirk on her face. And it's just like that. She was not about to cry, Norman.
Was
Please.
a smirk. Like, did you even see a tear? Like, what you talking about? Don't cry.
And I think she did like a little tiny sniffle, like with her nose, like a little. And it's like, Norman, please. We both got eyes. I know you see this.
So she a good actress and not
Mm-hmm.
playing nice. Yeah, I don't know how he didn't see through that facade. So they're talking, and he's accusing Roy of hitting Ina, and she's like, Norman, he would never do that. He was like, how would you know? She's like, I've been married to him for this long. Like, she's pretty convincing, I guess, like talking with him and acting
Mm-hmm.
shocked. Like he's like, she was found in a tow yard in Indiana. And she's like, a tow yard? What? Like, she's acting nice and flabbergasted. She's like, oh my goodness.
Now, honestly, okay, because when he told her this, he also was like, "Yeah, there was a shootout." I felt like she
Yeah.
genuinely was like shocked about the shootout part.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think she knew about the shootout. All she know was that they was trying to get that body out the tow yard.
Yeah,
And she don't care to know about any other details.
right.
So she might have been some genuine surprise there. But he lets her know that we're moving her from here. He doesn't really tell her where. And she asks him, like, Norman, like, do you have any enemies? Trying to bring that speculation into his head of like, it might not have been the family.
Yeah.
Do you have any enemies? He's like, are you trying to blame me? She's like, no, I'm just asking, like, what would she be doing in Indiana? Like, how
Hmm.
would that have happened?
Yeah.
And so he's like, you can get back to work and everything. And she's like, you can talk to Jules. He'll get through it. Like he'll help you. He'll come through. And then a commercial pops up on the screen too about the lawsuit against Beauty and Black causing cancer. And again, this lawyer is trying to get this out there. She's trying to get more people to call in and get on this lawsuit. And so that's when Norman's like, you need to get back to the office and like take care of whatever you need to be getting taken care of. And she's like, okay, if you're okay, then I'll go back. And at the same time, they're about to move Ina into the ambulance. And she's like, okay, I'll walk you out. And then we see them all walk out and to get into the ambulance. And Mallory says goodbye to Norman. They both say, I love you, goodbye. So I feel like this is showing us that like she has a close relationship with Norman. And I feel like this relationship might even show us how her and Horace might even be like very much my uncle figure. I feel like that's how it went down.
Hmm.
Very respectful, very demure, but uh, good relations. So
Yeah.
that ends right there.
I feel like this was so much different than like I think it was maybe like episode 2 when he first came in and they were all having the family meeting and he was just like, shut up, you're only married to the family. And I thought like he just hates everybody. So like this was such a like interesting dynamic to see between them because it was like she's like uncle, 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 and
Mhm.
he's like genuinely being nice to her. And I was just like, interesting.
My family has gone off on me and in moments of heat. And then it's all family. So maybe that was like, he's pissed off. His wife is in the hospital.
True, true. It definitely could be that kind of thing for sure.
And so right after them getting into the hospital, she gets in the car and calls Jules and lets him know that he's moving her and everything like that. And she's like, you need to get on this.
And so after that, Roy, he shows up at the office. He's in his nice car. He sees all the protesters outside, and a security guy comes up to him and he tells him, like, hey, we're just letting y'all all just like park in the garage today because of all this that's going on. And Roy's like, you know what? No, I'm going to park right out here. He wants to walk through the crowd and everything. And, he's yelling to the protesters. Of course, this is like social media time. So there is a phone out and he's
Mhm.
asking, like, who's paying you? Who's paying y'all? And one of the protesters, she's there. She's like, nobody's paying us. And she has her daughter with her, who I think is in like a wheelchair situation
Yeah.
or something. And she's like, you know, nobody's asked my daughter if anybody's paying her to be here. She's got cancer. And Roy sees that this is all being filmed, and so the security
Yeah.
guard gets him through the rest of the crowd, and Roy's like, "Oh, that's gonna go viral." And so as he's saying that, a woman is walking up, and she's like, "Oh." like interesting. You say that, yeah. And she lets him know that she is the attorney that is representing all of the cancer patients. And she serves him some papers because we already know that Mallory was already served papers the very first
Mhm.
episode. So now Roy is being served some papers as well. And, he's looking at her and he's like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And she's just like, "I'm surprised you don't recognize me because I'm
Yeah.
Lena from college." And, they had like this little banter between them. And she basically was like, "Yeah, you were like dealing with Mallory and stuff, but you were still trying to chase me and all
Hmm.
that." And I'm like, because at first I thought she was going to be like, "Oh, you don't remember like sleeping with me?" But,
Yeah.
I guess she's just like, she knows that he was doing drugs and stuff in college and just being that kind of like college guy. And,
Yeah.
she tells him, like, you should just settle the lawsuit. She was like, "I'm going to bring the company to its knees." And, he should call her. And, because he was like, everybody looks at it like Mallory is the one that's running the company. And, you're just this little lapdog. But she's like, "I know that you're smart. I know that you're the one who's actually like running things. So, you should call me, get, let's discuss this because we can get in front of this and put Mallory on the sidelines." And,
Hmm.
and I feel like this might work because we know he
Hmm.
needs his like ego stroked,
Hmm.
because everybody else just kind of, he feels like everybody else just looks down on him. And so I was like, okay, this might work. And so
Yeah.
after she walks away, Roy is walking with the security guard and he's like, "How did she get on private property?" And the security guard's like, "I don't know." And Roy's like, "You're fired because the only reason she's on this private property is to serve me the papers." And so
Hmm.
he snatches the papers from the security guy and tells him, "Get the fuck off, get the fuck on."
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like she was really smart in playing up his ego. Like, she's like, I know how smart you are. You're gonna do the right thing. The only person to ever say this to this man ever. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's always calling him stupid. Then we see Jillian is up in Mallory office playing around, playing office, playing dress up, sitting in her chair, kicking up her feet, pretending she's telling somebody to do something.
Hmm.
And then Rory walks in, he's looking for Mallory. And Jillian's like, "Oh, I don't know where she at." And he's like, "Where's she at?" He's like, she's like, "Oh, she went to go see your aunt and uncle at the hospital." And he's like, "For what?" And she's like, because she got hit by a car."
Like, duh, why do you
Like
think?
he's like, "Whatever, you don't know anything." And she don't. She's so oblivious to everything. All she knows is Mallory been messing with her dude, Calvin. And
Hmm.
trying to get her get back and get with Roy, get underneath Roy. And so Jillian basically is just trying to flirt and apologize for earlier and let him know that she wants to do whatever he wants to do. And he's like, just questioning like why now? So you wasn't trying to like get me? You not here for Mallory? And she's like, "No, I really want to." Like he's just like, "No, I don't trust you." But then they kind of have a good little playful banter at the end. And I feel like she felt like it left on a good note, like because she kind of smirked at the end and kind of just like
Hmm.
thinking to herself. And that's just like that quick snippet of them two together.
Yeah. So then we see Kimmy is still at the hotel. She's just been at the hotel all day, y'all. Her and Angel. And she gets a phone call and she goes and answers and it's her little sister, Sylvie. And so Kimmy, they're asking each other like, "How are you?" Kimmy's asking Sylvie like, "Did you get the money I sent?" Sylvie's like, "No, Frank took it." Like he always takes it. And so Kimmy's like, "Well, were
Oh,
you able to get your cheerleading outfit?" Sylvie's like, "No, they don't even like Frank doesn't want me cheerleading." And Kimmy's just like,
what
"What?"
the
Like,
fuck?
why? And so, Kimmy is like, "I'm gonna send some more money." And Sylvie's just like, "Oh, I'll be 18 in a couple years. And when I do turn 18, I can't wait to come live with you." And you see Kimmy kind of get a little emotional because obviously
Mm-hmm.
she's not in a situation where anyone should be coming to live with her, especially not her little sister. And Kimmy has been lying to the sister and she's like, telling her like, "Oh, I've just been working long hours at the hospital and things like that." And so Sylvie's like, "Okay, I won't like keep you on the phone." And Kimmy says that next time she sends some money, she'll wire it. And she's like, so when you go with mom to the grocery store, just try to get away from her at some point because I'm going to put it in your name so that way the sister can get the money and the mom can't
Mhm.
get it, Frank can't get it. And the sister, she's like, oh, they're always watching me. So Kimmy's just like, just get away and try to get the money. And that was just a small little quick brief moment where we see them two interacting.
Yeah, so then Roy is in his office and he's watching a video of the lawyer and he's kind of just talking to himself, like, where do know you from? Like, damn, you fine girl. And so Jules walks in. And where do you think like they messed around, or do you think like he really was after her? Or do you think like he maybe assaulted her? Because it seems like he might have a problem with assaulting women or something like.
See, I kind of thought that she was going to say something like that, but since she was still kind of being all coy and stuff, I don't know if
Hmm.
maybe he did and she's just holding that in her back pocket until she needs to
Yeah.
use it, or if he really was just trying to be this like womanizer type and she was just the one who wasn't falling for it on the college campus.
I think she might be taking it a little personal coming for him, so maybe it might be a little personal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then Jules walks in and they just start talking about everything that's going on. Like he said, Roy says, he's enjoying playing this game with Kimmy, which, at first we just thought that he didn't suspect Kimmy. So now we see that he's playing a game with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so he still knows that Kimmy called his wife. So he's really not that as dumb as we really thought he was.
Yeah.
And so again, Jules is like, you should really keep your hands clean, but okay, Mallory wants her name. And Roy's like, I know you won't give it to her though. Gives him a side eye. And Jules like, no, 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 I got another girl, a couple girls who acting up. I can give her one of their names. Like, dang, you just wanna, what's she gonna do with them? Like,
Right.
you just gonna give up another girl's name? Like, these are people.
Yeah.
And so they continue to talk about, the issues and like, why is Mallory even still with you if y'all don't want to be together? And Rory's like, Mallory and I get more shares as a married couple in the company. And if Roy and Mallory were to split up, those shares would split up. And Mallory's not having that. And so he's like, oh, okay, okay, I see. And then Roy also asked about why are these protesters outside of our building? Like, move them from in front of the building. And Jules is like, it's all about optics. Like right now, he's like, he says nigga net. He's like, this is just on the nigga net, which is wild. He's like, this is low end right now. Like I'm trying to make sure it doesn't get higher, which I
Mm-hmm.
can see what he's talking about. You start like pushing protesters off of stuff, like then they're going to be calling the newscasters to be
Yep.
like, they're pushing us out of here. Then the newscasters are going to be popping up like, oh, there's an issue out here. Like they love some clickbait.
Yeah.
So then Roy's like, I think I might speak with Lena. She came and served me papers today. And Jules is like, oh shit, okay. In his head, he's like, how am I about to handle this? He's like, I think you should let Mallory and your father handle this. And that already sets Roy off. That was the wrong sentence to say. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you think I can't handle this? And this is Jules turns it around. He's like, no, 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 I know you can handle it. But let's let them take the heat of it. Like if it doesn't work out, they look bad, and then you swoop in and try and save the day, and you save the day. He's like, we all know you run this office and you let Mallory look like she's doing this and that. We all know who's running stuff. And he's like, yeah, 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 I'm running stuff. You right, you right. And then he's like, I gotta go real quick, and like runs out of the office. And Jules is like, this man run into the bathroom to get high. Mm-mm-mm. And so I feel like right there they're showing us like Rory be really off of his rocker. Like he be really on these drugs. And he's really delusional. For him to really think that he's running anything.
See, I feel like it's interesting because we only have seen him using any drugs when he's in like his private little apartment. Like we haven't
Mhm.
seen him like do it at the office or even at
We ain't
home.
seen him in the office.
That's true. He's very rarely been in the office. But part of me is like, okay, yes, Mallory is there every single day, obviously. So
Hmm.
it is like, why is everybody trying to like tiptoe around Roy and like what he actually does? So that like I don't know, did he used to maybe really work, do the work, and he just kind of built the
He's the son, he's
foundation?
the blood, really. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. So next we see Kimmy and Angel. They're talking again, still in her hotel room. Like I said, they've been put up all day. And, he's like, everything will be okay. And, they've been through a lot of shit. And Kimmy is just like, I can't believe Rain is gone. Like, she was the closest girl I had in my life besides like my little sister. And, she's just getting emotional because she's feeling like Rain's gone. She has her little sister, and her little sister is obviously not in a good situation because she's still living in the home with Frank, who's a creep, and the
Yeah.
mom who also just has no backbone. And she's like, I'm lying to my little sister about the job. She thinks I'm a nurse. And Kimmy's like, I just want out. And Angel's like, that's why we gotta get the money. Just give me my money.
Money.
She's like, the plan is not going to work. And Angel's like, okay, how about this? We get your sister first, and we're gonna bring her here. Kimmy's like, absolutely not. Like, no. If we're gonna do anything, we got to get the money first, and then we'll get my sister. But they need to be really sure about the plan and what they're gonna do. And she's like, Horace, he reminds me of my grandfather. And Angel was like, but he's not your grandfather. And
Mm.
Kimmy's like, I know that because my grandfather wouldn't leave my friend up at the hospital and not go see her. And Angel's like, what? And so Kimmy tells him, like he was supposed to go check on Rain for me, and he just never did. And she's telling him like, listen, Body done or Jules done beat me because I went to the hospital to see Rain, and Angel's
Mm.
just like, I don't want to know any of this, which I thought was kind of weird for him to like.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Like, why don't you want to know? Like, I don't know. But he was just like, yeah, I don't want to hear any of this. But Angel's like, or Kimmy's just like, yeah, he's not like my grandfather. And she's down to do this plan. But like I said, she just needs them to make sure that they know how they're gonna go about it.
Yeah. I feel like she was using him not going to see Rain as fuel to like to rob him. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he's not a good guy. Like
Yeah.
a
I
good
agree.
person would have, kept his word because she did what she was supposed to do for him and he was supposed to go see Rain.
Yeah. So then immediately right after that scene, we get like this really quick flash of a scene where Norman and the doctor and some nurses are all in the hospital with Ina. And, the doctor's
In
like,
the
something,
ambulance.
yeah, in the ambulance. And the doctor's saying, something's going wrong. And Norman's just yelling, like, you better save her. And then the scene's ended.
Save her. And so Jules goes to see Mallory now and shows Mallory the video that we saw of Roy walking into the building. And it shows like he's like, this is going viral. The protesters are outside. You see Roy basically like, who's paying you guys to be here? And that whole scene with a little girl who has cancer in a wheelchair, like, I have cancer, like just crazy optics.
Yeah.
And so she tells her to get he tells her that she needs to get Roy in line. And she's like, I don't know how the hell you want me to get Roy in line. He just stupid and be on drugs all the time. And so he also mentions that he wants to speak with the lawyer Lena. And she's like, oh my God, that is just so stupid. Like, why would he do that? So they're basically having a conversation about how stupid Roy is right now.
Yeah.
And then he says, she's like, so what are you gonna do with about Norman and everything? And he's like, Norman's gonna call me back. Don't worry about that. We have business together. And she's like, what type of business do y'all have together? And he's like, security business. And so right there, I'm like, okay, so we were always kind of wondering who's been in this business with him. And it, confirms again, it's Norman. Like Olivia already put Norman on blast about it. And so now we see Jules making note of it. Like they're in the security business together.
But we also see too, obviously, Mallory doesn't know that little tidbit.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will know it. I don't think Horace will know it because Olivia pulled it out as like blackmail.
hmm
Like, you didn't know I knew this.
Yeah. And of course, Mallory, she's still like, where is Roy? And asks Jules, who's the bitch he's been fucking? And Jules like, listen, I don't know, but I will get you a name. And he walks out of the office. So then we are in Varney's apartment, I believe, and him and Charles are talking. And Varney's like, Charles, you should just stay here at my place, listen to your mom, because we know that his mom has told him like not to go stay at his house because she's worried Norman's gonna do something. And Charles is like, do you know something that I don't know as to why you're wanting me to like stay here so bad and like listen to my mom? And Varney's like, listen, just come back from whatever you're about to do. Just come back tonight and stay here. And Charles is like, if I wanted to be with you, I would. And Charles is being a little sassy in the scene, and I feel like he's trying to get back at Varney because the last time we saw him and Varney is like, listen, you be in the club all night. Like, you want me to be outside with you, but you be doing this and you be doing that and all this type of stuff. Like, you're not serious about trying to be in a relationship. So I feel like in this scene, Charles is trying to get his one up and kind of be
Mhm.
like an ass to Varney a little bit. And
Yeah.
Barney is like, tell me where you're going, and Charles like, why do you want to know? Barney's like, maybe I want to go with you. And Charles is throwing that like, oh no, you don't want to be seen with me because you're too busy being closeted. And Barney's like, first of all, I'm not in the closet. I'm very much not in the closet, you know. And Charles is just upset because like he's upset with Varney because he thinks Varney just doesn't want to be like this whole like spectacle with him. And Varney
Yeah.
is very professional. He knows that he's obviously working with the family. So he's
Yeah.
trying to work like kind of toe the line and be a little delicate about the situation because he can't just be out there with Charles and then also be working with the
Hmm.
family because it's a little bit of a
Hmm.
conflict of interest. And Charles is
Yeah.
out here wilding.
Wildin'.
So I feel like Varney's in the right. Like you kind of have to get your stuff together, Charles,
I
before I
agree.
can like step out with you. And so Varney like walks out of the room.
Yeah. And then Charles is like, you'll be back for this ass. Like, shows his butt. I'm like, he is so childish. I
Right.
cannot. You guys, the next scene, we're in the ambulance. It's Norman, it's the doctor, it's a nurse. Ina's in the ambulance, hooked up to everything. And the nurse is like, oh my, her blood pressure's crashing, her blood pressure's going down. The doctor's like, give her this, give her that. And then we just hear a flat tone on the monitor. And he's like, I'm sorry, we lost her. And Norman's like, what are you talking about? Get her back. Like, save her, save her. He's like, I'm sorry, she's gone. And he's like, you said that you could transfer her. You said that you could move her. And like in my head, I'm like, everyone told you not to move her.
Yeah.
You just have money and power that whatever you want goes. In the beginning of that conversation in the hospital, that new doctor told him he should stay here. We shouldn't
Yeah.
move her. And he pushed it until, okay, you got what you want, and now your wife is gone.
Yeah.
And that part is on you now. And so he's like, what? She's gone? Norman pulls out a gun and shoots the doctor in the head. I'm like,
Well, what did
what?
he asked him something first, right? The doctor.
He was like, you're
I mean,
sorry?
Norman.
He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, what did he ask
No,
him?
Norman. He asked the doctor, like, do you know my brother?
Yeah. He's like, do you know my brother? Yeah, he lost it. He lost his mind and starts shooting everybody. He shoots the ambulance probably done pulled over at this point. Like, dang, the shot's been fired. They opening up the back. No, he tells them to pull over because they're about to start working on Ina. So they're trying to like, they're trying to save her life, but she's gone now. She was
Yeah.
already in critical condition. And so he starts shooting everybody. The people open up the ambulance. He shoots them. The nurse is like, please don't shoot me, don't shoot me. He's like, you know my brother. You know my brother. And she's like, no, no. And he shoots her in the head. Everyone, headshots,
Just madness.
madness. And I feel like this is distinct, I feel like, connection to the tow house because why are all these headshots? It was headshots at the tow yard too. Like, you guys are all insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, Norman literally lost his mind in this moment. Or are we just seeing how ruthless he really is? This is what Olivia was warning everybody about.
I feel like it's a little mix of both. Like, yeah, Olivia had already warned, like, he's dangerous. But then also, when you're fueled by you just lost the love of your life
Hmm.
and you're super paranoid that like
Hmm.
everybody is in cahoots with Horace, it's just like, I think he genuinely did snap.
Yeah, agree. Totally. A mixture of he's already crazy and ruthless as fuck, and then he just lost his wife in front of him.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I'm like, is Norman gonna kill his nephews now?
I'm wondering, like, how is this going to be explained? Like, you
Which
know,
part?
the him shooting everybody because the doctor from the hospital,
Oh
she's gonna
yeah.
know he left in the
Hmm.
ambulance with all of them, and if all of them are found, plus his wife, but he's
Yeah.
not there, it's like now what does that mean for him? Because
Yeah.
he's if something is put on the news that Norman Bellery,
Hmm.
did this thing on top of the fact that the lawsuit information is in the
Yeah.
news, it's just like, and he killed, like, it's just crazy. I don't, I'm just like, well, how are they gonna do it? Like,
He don't care. He said he was going to take down the whole company.
he did.
But
Yeah,
I
he did
agree.
say
How are
that.
they going to spin it? I think it's up to Jules and Mallory to try and spin something because he don't care. He don't give a damn.
Yeah. And Mallory is about to, once this does, get to them, Mallory's gonna lose her mind probably because she is all about the optics of just like how the family looks, how the company looks, how she looks.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so, do we think Roy will actually go meet with the lawyer Lena? And do you think that we'll ever figure out, or will they show us how they knew each other in college? Do you
I
think
think
they're
he
going to give
definitely
us?
will meet her.
Yeah. You think he's going to go sit with her?
I think he's definitely gonna go sit with, that might be where
Yeah.
he went in a rush.
Yeah. Right. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go speak to her now.
Yeah.
Hi, self.
So I don't know if they'll tell us like more about whatever relationship they had, but I definitely think he's gonna go meet with her.
And do you think, felt like Kimmy in those conversations with Angel? I felt like she was like trying to think of a better plan. Do you think she'll come up with a different plan of just Angel going to rob Horace? Like, I agree. That's not a good plan. She brought up there's dogs, there's security. There
Hmm.
needs to be a better plan than us just trying to sneak on their property.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like she probably will come up with a plan that isn't, it's doable. But I feel like,
Hmm.
of course, like with a lot of plans, something's just gonna happen and it's not gonna go the way it is probably supposed to go. I feel like that is probably gonna be a situation, and then they're gonna end up in like a really bad situation.
Yeah. Well, this was episode 6. It came with some craziness. Let's see where this episode's going to be going. I mean, where the season's going to end.
Yeah, because how many it's 8 episodes?
Yeah.
So we only got two more.
More. Thanks for tuning in to our review of episode 6 on Beauty in Black. Let us know what you thought about this episode and make sure you answer our poll on Spotify. Who do you think Norman will go after next?
And if you don't want to miss any upcoming episodes, make sure you follow us on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow our show page on Instagram for the latest updates and reminders. I'm your girl, Yelly.
And I'm your girl, Harmony. Make sure you come back and join us for more mystery, murder, and melanin. Bye.
Bye.